God calls it, I am watching over my word to perform it. I wrote all these things down, and I didn't just write them down and leave them there in a vacuum. I wrote them down, and I am right behind those words, and I am bringing them to pass. Let me read you the different translations. Jeremiah 1:12, New King James says, Then the Lord said to me, You have seen well, for I am ready to perform my word. The NIV, if you have that version this evening, same verse, the Lord said to me, You have seen correctly, for I am watching to see that my word is fulfilled. Now, the New American Standard Bible gives it even another twist. It says, And the Lord said to me, You have seen well, for I am watching over my word to perform it. I am watching over. I know what I wrote, and I am going to cause what I wrote. I'm standing behind it. I'm going to make that happen. Now, a lot of people say they're going to make stuff happen. You ever have someone say, Oh, don't worry, I'll do that? Worry. They don't. You know, that we just get used to that in life. We usually have another plan because they don't. But when God said, the book you hold in your hands, that's my word. And you're correct in knowing it's my word. And the way you know it's my word is, I am personally going to perform the things I wrote in that book. It isn't up to world leaders to bring this stuff to pass. It isn't up to Christian workers to cause this to happen, and we're going to make it happen. God says, Jeremiah 1:12, I am watching over my word. Perhaps the greatest way that you and I can affirm the reality of God today is through biblical prophecy. The Scriptures are unique in that God has mapped out the very specific events in the future. Only the living and true God of heaven and earth has ever dared to say, let me tell you the future. Now, in the past, we've looked at this. In Isaiah 41 through Isaiah 48, repeatedly, God is in a dialogue with the nation of Israel. And the nation of Israel in Isaiah's time kept lapsing into idolatry. And God had this ongoing discussion through Isaiah, his prophet, from 41 through 48, and kept saying to them, if you like those idols so much, why don't you see if those idols are really God? And the way you know those idols are God or not is, can they tell the future? See, God has exclusively held on to this one sector of the universe. He said, I'm the only one that can predict the future. Others can attempt to. I specifically map out the events in the future. And that's something that a lot of times we don't even think about. The simplest and yet most profound evidence that the Bible offers concerning God's reality is what we would call fulfilled prophecy. That is probably the simplest thing to see, and it's probably the most powerful way to prove the reality of God. Because God alone said, I know the future. Not only do I know the future, I declare it before it happens. And he said, not only that, I'm the one that causes it to happen. Jeremiah 1:12, I'm watching over my word to perform it. Prophecy is the missing element in every other sacred scripture of all the world's religion. Prophecy is not to be found in the Quran. Now, the Muslims have great art and calligraphy, and they've made great advances in science over the years, over the centuries since Muhammad started that whole thing, but they do not have prophecy at all, period. The Hindus have no prophecy. The Book of Mormon has no prophecy. The sayings of Buddha, there is no prophecy. Even in the writings of other cults, they don't have what we would call prophecy. Now, they have, kind of Nostradamian kind of stuff that I could do. I could say this. I could say the price of oil is going to fluctuate. There. How do you like that? I could make a lot. Now, there you go. There's a prophecy. Anybody can make those. But God says there's going to be an island nation called Tyre, and it's going to rule the seas, and yet one day there's going to be a king come up against it, and that king is going to march against it and utterly destroy it, scrape it off, crush the city into powder, and pour the powder into the ocean and make a causeway out to the island. Now, God said that hundreds of years before Nebuchadnezzar tried it, and Alexander the Great did it. Exactly as God said, to the letter. God fulfills. He watches over His word.